Alrighty then. Do 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 do. Welcome back to the channel, lads and ladies, and welcome to a quick live talk about skills. This is just something that occurred to me, so I thought I would share it with you guys. It's never too early to talk about skills, and of course, when you're creating a character, that's the most important time to keep in mind those things. But thanks to the mercenary system, you can see I have quite a number of additional characters available to me, also with Trogdor the Burninator being one of those new characters. This guy does ludicrous amounts of fire damage, but that is not this. So when you're creating your first character in the game, this is going to be your hero, and feel free to build your hero however you like. Don't get too involved in the meta, don't get too involved in being combat effective unless that's something you really want to do, and then go for it. I'm saying this because as soon as you get through your first few fights and through the beginning part of the game, you'll be able to hire mercenaries, and that's something that I would encourage you to do early on. And so you don't need to make your main character have all the skills or the most powerful combat abilities. So to keep this just to the topic of skills, I put my focus on persuasion, and I try to have a quite high persuasion. And then for roleplay reasons mostly, I enjoy having a high athletics score for my main character. That's just sort of the concept I have of Nano, is that she is just a naturally gifted person, used to dealing with problems aggressively and on her own, but also very she takes pride in being able to manipulate other people easily, and basically does whatever she wants, as you can see from her alignment going all over the place here, with some red marks going toward the evil side, but inexorably being someone who doesn't necessarily hate, babies and want to punch them in the face. You end up starting to go toward good pretty quickly. But back to the topic of skills. This is the character I wanted to really talk with you about today. This is Guppy. This is the most precious character in my party, and as I've mentioned in other videos, the Bard class is one of those classes that I was always like, well, do I have to have one? And there's always someone that's better at one thing or another. But one of the great things about the Bard, to make this relevant to the topic, is that they don't have to have really high stats anywhere. You see I've focused on charisma here, but we have a natural 16 dex, giving us a +3 to things like, oh god, trickery? So I guess as you can see from the breakdown on my trickery skill, you don't need to have a high dexterity stat to have absolutely adequate levels of trickery. And it comes down to your gear. But Toshio, I need to have Tesleet gears. And, all my slots, I need the best armor for AC. I need this cloak for that. I need these gloves for this. And the nice thing about the Bard is you sit back, you play music, and you cast party buffs during combat. Anything extra you do is extra. You know what gear you need to have to cast good party buffs? Nothing. You know what gear you need to have plenty of Bard song? Zippo. So you can put all of your gear, as you see, I've got Trap Springer's gloves, which you can pick up from your capital's main merchant as soon as you become a ruler, which hopefully that's not a spoiler at this point. And I've also picked up the Vest of 100 Pockets. Honestly, I can't remember where I got it, but you get it going through the main story stuff. You should pick this up before the midpoint of the game. As you can see, I'm level 11. I think I picked this one up around level 9 or 10. I'm not sure. But you don't need it. It's just one of those things that With the +5 I already have from Trap Springers, and then the +5 I get from Vest, I just don't have to worry about lockpicks and disarms. And trap disarming is pretty important because there are some really annoying, nasty, devastating traps in this game, and not just in one dungeon. Especially as you progress through the story, it really is essential to have someone to disarm those traps, especially since it gives experience to your party. And just never failing a trap check, that's nice. You know, no quick save, reload, just don't worry about it. Guppy's got this. Same deal with lockpicking, and thankfully it's the same skill in this game, so the Trap Springer's gloves give you that +5 bonus to also unlocking things. And you guys who've played this game are you already know where I'm going with this. Picking locks is a headache, because I don't know about you, but I always roll a 1 when I really need to make that skill check. Oh, that DC 30 Persuade, and I have like a +26. Yeah, you're gonna fail that. You know what? You're gonna load an old save, and you're gonna fail it again. There goes, 5 minutes of my life because of the loading screens. So, having that confidence that I don't need to quick save, even though I'm gonna, so I'm gonna lose 10 seconds to the lag as I save the game, but I quick save and then I don't have to reload it because I unlock the thing and it just works. And even though I could put other things in other areas, I could buff Guppy's damage per round by absolutely Zippo, because she's still casting party buffs, and she's much better off doing that than dealing a few more points of damage per round. But I could give her some gear that gives her a little bit better defensive advantage. Is she using it? No. I have usually 3 frontline fighters and then 1 second wave fighter, and I've talked about that in other videos. And then summoned creatures out the wazoo and 1 or 2 animal companions to distract people from meleeing the Guppy. And she also has enough hit points that usually I can soak 1 attack of opportunity to have her move out of a threatened square. So all of this is to say, when it comes to skills, don't freak out. Build your main character however you like. I recommend diplomacy. Is that what it's called? Persuade? Yeah, persuasion and perception are pretty good, but you can see I've got Zippo for perception. And even though I have a +20 on use magic device, I have yet to actually use that skill, but I just want it. And then I've also used some athletics as well. And the rolls for athletics tend to be a little bit easier because they don't expect you to have a fantastic score on account of things like armor check penalties. So build your main character how you like. And if you need someone to pick up the slack when it comes to your skills, you gotta have somebody with perception, stealth, and trickery. Those are things that, for camping, stealth. For going through dungeons, you need that perception and trickery. It's good to have a high perception on as many people as possible, and you've got a +10 from 2 different items in the game to your trickery. So eventually, you don't have to worry about that, and I highly recommend that you bring along a character that doesn't need a strong armor slot, that doesn't need some special gloves, so you can equip those 2 items and just not worry about that skill. When it comes to other skills, all of your knowledge skills get some use, and they'll give you a little bit of help here and there. There's one particular area where it makes a fight like 50% easier, and it is kind of a BS fight, but if you pre-buff before it, in other words, if you lose the fight, you can just reload, buff your party up, and take them down. It's just kind of like, well, thanks for dumping that on me. But suffice to say, you don't need to have high skills in this game in order to enjoy it. And at the same time, if you put points into one skill and focus on it, 1 or 2 skills, then you'll feel that sense of reward frequently enough that it's worth it to invest in a skill. But do you have to? No. With the exception of trickery and perception. Those need to be really high for one person. And that's what we have here. Once again, the Bard excels in that area. Rogues are also just fine, but I actually prefer to give a rogue the best gear when it comes to things like armor class and whatever helps them do good backstab damage. And they end up being a class that's just too important in combat to equip things like the Vest of Many Pockets and the Trap Springer's gloves. There's other things they could wear. So the Bard once again comes through for us by being needless in combat, and basically is one of those characters that doesn't need to roll dice because you get your skill so high on trickery by equipping those 2 items that you just don't have to worry about rolls anymore, and you just don't engage in combat. So that's something that I enjoy. When it comes to a game that rolls the dice for you, I prefer not to roll the dice. In fact, I prefer not to let luck make those calls for me, and that's why I like to have ludicrously high skill scores for those skills where I'm rolling the dice quite a bit. Anyway, guys, I hope that was helpful to you. I'm just kind of sharing my thoughts and showing off my adorable little daughter. This fearsome and highly prized character called Guppy, a Thunder Caller. And I need not reprise my praise of the Thunder Caller class. You lose out on a little bit of knowledge, but you keep lore nature bonuses, and those are very helpful. And overall, very, very useful class. Anyway, guys, I'll catch you in the next video. Bye-bye.